Greetings, my fellow free blood sovereign thinkers. This is LL3's News Podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangoes of South Florida. And today's date is Tuesday, September 25th, 2018. Yeah, I just had some time off, a little bit tired, so got myself a little bit re-energized now, and had to do a little hike along the way to get back home, but it's not a big, serious issue. Just one of those days you went, oops, I goofed up. But that's part of human nature. Instead of complaining, bickering, and giving you a whole song and dance, gotta proceed on life. Alright, so I'm gonna be addressing a few topics here. Just making, nothing really too crazy to go over. However, we'll just start off right. Came from covert geopolitics to be exact. And it's an interesting article here. Pertaining to the deep state. It says here, alliance tightening noose on the deep state. Russia was shocked at the boldness of Israel's latest aerial aerobatics that resulted in the downing of one Russian reconnaissance plane by its own manufactured S-200 missile over Latakia, Syria, which ran counter to the statement made by the Russian Ministry of Defense. It's notable that right after the event, which led to the death of 50 Russian servicemen, Putin was shown to be testing the latest sniper rifle, as if to send a message, and that all is not well between Israel and Russia when Russian lives are wasted. So there's a video on there, there's a few video footages on that. So here you go. So is it still too early to conclude that Putin has folded to the dark side? That's ongoing move to put the Khazars in the rightful place has been consistently gaining to a lot of traction and raising the right flag for just a single event that exposes the deceptive mindset of the Khazarian Jews. According to Konashenkov, the Israeli Air Force provided Russia with misleading information on location of its airstrike on targets in Syria, which prevented the commander of the IL-20 plane from relocating to a safe zone that led to its destruction. It says here in a little quote, during negotiations via the deconfliction channel, the representative of the Israeli Air Force Command reported that the targets assigned to the Israeli aircraft are located in northern Syria. As you can see, the map on the Israeli jets delivered the strike in Latakia, which is a western province of the country, and is not in the north of the Syrian Arab Republic. The city of Latakia is located on the western coast. The misleading information provided by the Israeli officer about the area of strikes did not allow the Russian IL-20 airplane move to a timely safe area. Konashenkov said, that's from Sputnik News. Russia now has a moral authority to fully repel any Israel presence near the Syrian airspace to protect its own troops and military bases. It's also much clearer at this point that Trump's role in the whole ball game is to manage a systematic descent of the financial system of the deep state and provide a soft landing for the U.S. population. Every Trumpian economic rhetoric is met with substantial anti-deep state counter-sanctions from the alliance. The global effort to dump the Rothschilds dynasty fiat U.S. dollar is being accelerated as of late. And obviously for countless of justifications, it has not reformed itself in spite of the losses it had incurred so far. The reforms at the Vatican Bank is merely optical, and planned debt jubilee has not been implemented yet. The Vatican instead aims to penetrate China through its churches, and for the same reasons, China is acceding to the Jesuit offensive nonetheless. Haven't they learned anything at all from Jesuit Mao's genocidal extermination of 30 million Chinese earlier in the 20th century? Something to think about, my friend. Mao Tse-tung was just another bend-over Bob to the New World Order, along with the global banksters. Okay, so don't tell me how great Mao is. I'll just wipe my rear end with your claim of fame. It is worth of a note that the EU Parliament continues to deny British people an orderly Brexit. Why is that? Because the Club of Rome is so offended, right? Undoubtedly, the EU bosses bullied and humiliated Theresa May and the UK yesterday, but don't waste your sympathy on Theresa the Appeaser. Instead, spare a thought for your country, fellow citizens and our forefathers who laid down their lives to save Europe from this tyranny over 70 years ago. We, along with our allies in the U.S., saved Europe from becoming an undemocratic, all-powerful, megalomaniac-run empire. But what have we got now? Those men and women were promised a land fit for heroes, and what have we got? A Europe superstate without the Germans even having to get the tanks out of cold storage. We wanted a common market, not in the United States of Europe. This is why we voted Brexit. We want to control our borders and make our laws and regain our sovereignty. The clear fact are that the godfathers of the EU are determined to deny us that, and people like Theresa May, who is just another Aunt Jemima to the deep state, have been acting about almost in collision with them, as she never really wanted to leave. The Chequers deal was remain a document in all but name and a clear betrayal of what the British people voted for 2 years ago. Sputnik News. This is not just one of the many covert reasons why Israel has taken a suicidal mission to drive a wedge against Syria and its allies to deter Russia and Iran from winning the Syrian war. Establishing the Greater Israel Yemen Plan was the last hope to survive the greatest awakening of the Goyim. While the military aspect of the ongoing offensive against the deep state is being spearheaded by Russia, China is doing its damage to the financial system of the British Empire and is now selling U.S. debt right after it abstained from its participation in trade talks with the U.S. and is sending ground special forces in Idlib. Alright, there's a thing on here. You can see it for yourself from RT. Where are we today is the result of our collective decision on the way to 2012. And we chose global peace and enlightenment over the end of mankind. The alliance could have responded heavily on the multiple attacks against them by the deep state, Fukushima tsunami, Tajin nuclear blast, but the former choose to use soft power to convince the other side with that in a multipolar world, the deep state will remain relevant for as long as reforms are made to rid itself of destructive elements within this organization. They poked at Iran during a military parade when its terrorist pawns, clad in military uniform, fired at civilians so that the Iranians will hate their own government. This is not expected to work, considering the level of awareness in the country about how the CIA interfered with their own affairs. Just look up the 1953 CIA coup of Iran, also known as Operation Ajax. When Putin announced about Russia's upgraded military capability last March 1st, it was meant as a warning that the Federation is ready to take to the next level whenever necessary. Israel's provocation, which manifests the deep state's true intention of pursuing violence and conflict wherever desirable, therefore will be responded to accordingly, and Putin is not known to act hastily. This should explain why he is keeping his cool in the interim. There will be proper and adequate preparations before Israel will be put in this place, with Putin saying these will be steps that everyone will notice. We understand this is to mean to reinstallation of S-300 ground-to-air missile system and the subsequent establishment of a no-fly zone for Israel near Syrian airspace. As for now, the Syrian Arab army is encircling the terrorists' last stronghold in Idlib without any access to water. It is only a matter of time before the pawns raise the red flag and of final surrender in Syria. The only question that remains is where will this battle-hardened terrorists go, if not westward? Where they'll be recycled to keep population preoccupied with fear? Interesting, good question. And of course, part of the order and all that too. And you're talking to an individual who's not really lovey-dovey Assad and Putin and so forth, and he's formed government that has tyrannical attributes. The whole thing is this. Syria that wants to be left alone, let them be. The biggest mistake was getting involved in their civil war. And don't get me wrong, there's people in there not created by Assad, but when you got outside interference coming in with ISIS, CIA, New World Order projects to be exact, they get angry, and I can't blame them. We got this under control. We don't need your pathetic assistance. And now look what's been happening. So you're going to hear on the corporate garbage media that will go on their hands and knees to praise CIA's Operation Mockingbird, to give you other garbage. Like, they're the bad guys, they're the wicked ones. We got to attack them to fight the war on terror. You know what, my friends? Don't buy the hoopla. Bring all our troops home. I'm tired of all this imperial propaganda. And if Israel believes you own us, to hell with you. I'm talking about the rogue elements in their government. Right? There's like one Israeli spokeswoman says, in America you can criticize God, but not Israel. You know what? I don't give a F what you think. Because as far as I'm concerned, your rhetoric is null and void. You just address yourself as one world order trash. I'm sorry I have to speak this way, but I'm just tired of some of these clowns talking about pro-Israel this, pro-Israel that. All right? Like, we should all belly up for their state and get screwed in the rear in the end. How many of you folks recall USS Liberty, right? Yeah, and you know what really gets me, because even Israeli people that were involved in the Israeli side actually spoke about it. It's like, hey, we were ordered to attack, and they didn't want to. You know why? You got those rogue scumbags, okay? There's like everywhere else in other countries, trying to tell everyone what to think and how to wipe their rear ends. You know what? Even the people in Israel are getting tired of it as well. Seeing good people getting attacked. And you know what? If you criticize Israel as being anti-Semitic, I give you guys a big middle finger if you still believe that Jim Jones syndrome. Because I can. What do you call the Palestinian people then? No, they're not Semites? I bet you they're more Semitic, have more Semite in their genes than the people running that country. Prove me wrong if you dare, because you know what? I don't give a damn what you think. You just prove me wrong with merit, not this verbal, baseless, paretic viewpoint, okay? So I say this: say yes to a republic, no to an empire. Bring all of our troops home. All right? That's all I got to say about this. True peace, security, and spiritual prosperity will prevail. All right, well, the next one here. This came from Kurt Nemo, and it was posted on an activist post. And it says, "Are you ready for your state-mandated brain implant?" Yes, they want us to be cyborgs, right? This is what Kurt Nemo has to say. Brain implants are not a reality. How long will it be before we've ordered to have one correct thought crime? I put a short video together exploring this topic. And it's right there, and you can check it out yourselves. Pretty interesting stuff. And, yeah, as you go there, see it for yourselves. It's like 6 minutes, 35 seconds long. It's from Another Day in the Empire, to be exact. And you know what? Kurt Nemo does some good work. So definitely check it out. And I'm just winging it here. Forgive me, folks. I should have watched this video before I do my viewpoint, so you can smack me later, okay? But I'm definitely going to put this video on there. And it's pretty neat. It's like cyborg, mind control, all that good stuff. There's a claim that even John McCain had his chips, and so did Charles Manson, allegedly speaking. So one thing we got to look at is, you want to be owned, numbered, or you want to be a free, freedom-loving, sovereign-thinking individual? I like the B option instead. If they get offended, then it has to be damn good. All right, well, this one came out today. Tampa Bay Times. It looks like the shooter in Clearwater parking space incident makes bail. Public safety. And how cute. Michael Draco looks more clean cut, according to this. Well, it says here, it is by Catherine Varn. Michael Drago, the man who shot and killed Marcus McLaughlin in a case that set off a national debate about self-defense in July, was released from Pinellas County Jail on Monday afternoon. Also available, bail bonds posted $100,000 for Drago who has been in custody on a manslaughter charge since August 13th. He didn't talk as he emerged from the front entrance to the gaggle of TV cameras and reporters. An electronic monitor hugged his ankle, a condition of release set by Pinellas Pasco Circuit Judge Joseph Bolin during Draga's first appearance last month. Draga wore plaid shorts, a white T-shirt, a gray ball cap, and sunglasses. Liza Clifton, one of his lawyers, and bail bond agent Tina Ruffo ushered him to the Hummer in the parking lot. I couldn't be happier, Clifton said. This has been our number one goal from the start. And it says here, a family liaison said Draga's wife saved money and stole possessions to come up with the money. Generally, defendants pay 10% of their bail to bond agents, who then post the rest. 48-year-old Draga shot and killed McLaughlin, age 28, in an argument over a handicap preserved parking space at a convenience store near Clearwater. Investigators said Draga approached McLaughlin's girlfriend after he had parked in the outside the Circle A food store on Sunset Point Road with a placard or handicap designated without a placard or designated license plate. McLaughlin walked out. According to the surveillance footage for the incident, he shoved Draga to the ground. Draga blew a .40 caliber Glock and shot McLaughlin, who police said had begun to back away when he saw the gun. The next day, Pinellas County Sheriff Bob Dudaleri said he would refer the case to the state attorney's office. He declined to make arrests because he said Florida's controversial standing ground might apply. See, that's why. So sometimes the news assumed he said he went for stand your ground, but the truth of the matter is, based on this case, technically, it couldn't really happen. If you really read the law, okay, if you really read the law, because based on the video, the Glock did back up, but the drone was rushing on all sides. But I will continue on here. But he did the right thing by taking it to the state attorney's office. Declined to make arrests because he said the Florida controversial stand your ground law might apply. Within days, McLaughlin's death drew protests over critics called racial justice and a flawed law, which is completely irrelevant. All you folks need to read the law to understand it. You got illiterates, law illiterates, okay? That's how I look at it. Every candidate for governor weighed in, and that Reverend Al Sharpton held a rally at Clearwater Church, yet the race-hating pimp that he is, and possible FBI narc. Drug dealer, allegedly speaking. Just another clone that wants to bring the race issue, which I could wipe my rear end at Al Sharpton, another washed up hack as far as I'm concerned. Draga was arrested more than 3 weeks later. He told investigators he fired one shot when he thought he saw McLaughlin take a step forward on him on the ground. Records show. Draga, released from jail, has been the key goal of the defense since prosecutors filed charges against Draga last month. His lawyers argued during the court hearing last month to reduce his bail, arguing that he posed no flight risk, has no criminal history, and can't afford bail. Malone turned down their request, saying it was fair and reasonable bond under all facts and circumstances of the case. So that's interesting about that too. And like I said, I know in my past episode, a reference pertaining to this matter, I know they were talking about, Draga may have some runs with the law, but no charge was filed, including one claim about brandishing a weapon, and one time there was one person was that ran a sewage truck. Talking about parking there, and he had made a statement. There's a claim he made a statement he made on the phone. I could have blown his effing's head off, and used the racial slurs. So there's those are interesting claims on that. But we could look at the McLaughlin. He had his run-ins with the law too, and which I talked about in my past episodes pertaining to this matter. Once again, I know I'm repeating myself. And one of the areas that could be a smoking gun on possibly giving him a full max sentence for Draga was McLaughlin was convicted of possession of cocaine, intending to deal, and resisting the same case, resisting an officer with violence. Even though it happened, he was 18, but that is a red flag on the prosecutor's side when they try to say McLaughlin was an innocent man and all that. You can't, if you use that, forget it. It's done. So It's one of those areas that's pretty interesting. One thing interesting about it, expect this to be a battle of a credibility case. If Michael Drake is on trial, not stand your ground. So all you one-dimensional opportunist hacks out there and your little disciple-minded minions, look at the bigger picture. Read the damn law. All right, it was funny because I was checking out this. I went to a webinar in reference to law of self-defense, talking about self-defense laws, the myths and disinformation. And it's interesting about the stand your ground. They try to say it's a racist redneck thing, which is completely irrelevant. It's a great law. And the fact is, 36 states have stand your ground laws. 30 have soft stand your ground laws or conditions. Now I'm pretty convinced too. Florida is one of them. Other 6, that's it, done deal. So something you got to think about. And here's another thing, too, about stand your ground. In California, it's been in the books since the 1800s. It's still in there today. So, folks got to start. Don't jump on this political snowflake bandwagon, regardless of paradigm. Do the research yourselves. Share this with others. Trust me, you feel a lot better. And you know what? It'll be, and it's good because you can be, vindicated, so, because people want facts. And it's interesting because there's a link on here about 5 new details on Clearwater parking shooting. Same thing, Tampa Bay Times, Catherine Varn. I'm going to add this to the memo for sure. And there was this update this morning. Yesterday morning, it says here more than 2 months have passed since Michael Drago shot Michaelis McLaughlin in the parking lot of a convenience store, while developments of the headlining grabbing the case have slowed to a trickle as it crawls through the court system. Tampa Bay Times has obtained more than 400 pages of investigative documents from the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. The interview transcripts and reports from deputies shed the light on Drake's thinking in the seconds before shooting, which began with an argument with McLaughlin's girlfriend over handicap reserve parking space. They also paint a fuller picture of the case that distributed community sparked concerns about racial justice and reignited a debate over Florida's controversial standing ground law after authorities cited it is not initially arresting Draga. Here are the 5 new details from the documents. 1. Draga, McLaughlin made his step towards me, and what was that? A roughly 70-page transcription Draga's interview with detectives provide with the most insight yet into how they perceived the moments leading up to the shooting. Draga faced a manslaughter charge, said during the argument McLaughlin's girlfriend, Brittany Jacobs, asked if she needed to get her boyfriend. Draga responded, are we going to fight? Interesting. Soon after, McLaughlin, 28, came out of the store and shoved Draga to the ground. I was literally blindsided and tackled to the ground, he said, a bystander who was also blindsided to describe how Draga approached McLaughlin. It's interesting to see that video. There is some merit to that, okay? So I will continue on here. Draga, 48, landed on his right side, his wrist caught under a gun he kept in the holster. He sat up and pulled out the gun, and it took one step by McLaughlin for Draga to pull the trigger. He told detectives he acknowledged that if McLaughlin had retreated or even stand still, he wouldn't have used his gun. So sometimes he may be incoherent. At the time, he shot him. So it's just what I'm looking at from here, in my own view, on my honorable viewpoint. So it says here, he made his steps towards me, and that was that, he said. Earlier in the interview, Draga said he believed McLaughlin was going to kick or get on top of him after the shove. Later, he told detectives he thought McLaughlin was going to finish what the hell he just started. When asked to elaborate, he said, "No clue, come after me again. That's about it." That adds. He said, "No clue, come after me again. That's about it." Then adds. What he would have just done is just pure conjecture. Draga didn't see much of McLaughlin from his vantage point on the ground. He told detectives he thought McLaughlin was of medium height. He saw McLaughlin's legs, but couldn't see his hands or face. Draga used police and military terms to describe some of his conduct, although he told investigators that he has never worked in those fields. His father, however, is a former cop, he said, and they used to train together. At one point, he said he was acting under a 21-foot rule, a self-defense training tactic, and said later he was trying to neutralize the immediate threat when he fired a single shot. And then that's it, he said. No reason to go overboard. 2. Detectives raised questions in everyone's mind. More than once, detectives asked Draca why he didn't call law enforcement to report that someone had illegally parked in the handicap reserved parking space. And it says here, what do you think it would be better instead of putting yourself in that type of circumstance that could escalate? Detective George Moffat said. Draga said he worried the driver would leave by the time police arrived. They always do, he said. And, there may be some logic, but, we'll continue on here. When I just say something to a person about being parked here, he said, I don't expect it to go where it went. Another detective, Richard Redmond, asked Draga about what others might think about him approaching their cars. Don't it ever go through your mind? They may not take that right. This might go sideways a little bit. Well, sure, Draga said, but that's why I take precautions as well. Like what? What kind of precautions? The detective asked. Well, I'm a very careful person, Draga said, and I have a permit. 3. Draga seemed proud and angry after shooting. Documents include interviews with several witnesses. Their accounts are mostly consistent with what we know about the shooting so far and shed light on Draga's conduct afterward. One bystander, Robert Cassidy, told detectives Draga, who did not call 911, seemed more angry than remorseful. He wasn't really upset that it happened, he said. He was just like, yeah, the guy got what he deserved. It was like his attitude. He heard Draga muttering something to the effect of, I just shot someone. What do you think was going to happen? He shouldn't ran up on me. He shouldn't have ran up on me. Cassidy said he ducked down to call 911. He said he didn't want Draga to see him on the phone, worried about how he react. Well, if something like that, I say you're gonna shoot me, you better aim right, because I will shoot back. That's how I look at it. Yeah. Vicky Conrad, who helped Jacobs put pressure on McLaughlin's wound inside the store, encountered Draga as she went outside to check on Jacobs' 2 young children in the car. She heard him said, They got it all on tape. She described his demeanor as proud. 2 witnesses added that he felt someone needed to intervene in the argument between Draga and Jacobs because it was so heated. 1, Latoya Wigfalls, broke with other witnesses and say Draga reached into Jacobs' car, although the surveillance video did not appear to show that. Cassidy told detectives he thought about jumping in himself. Instead, he went outside and told the store clerk. McLaughlin in the store with his 5-year-old son overheard him and went outside. I'm glad I didn't get involved, Cassidy said. I mean, because you see a guy yelling at a lady sitting in the car. First thing you might think, and maybe I gotta back this guy off. Maybe the situation's getting out of control. I'm glad I didn't get involved because I had no idea that guy was packing. 4. Witnesses say Draga used racial black words. Protesters and activists have pointed out to racial injustice in the case, say another example of a white person shooting an unarmed black man. When Sheriff Bob Gualtieri has said there's no evidence that race was a factor, and Draga said in a recent interview from jail with WTSP Channel 10 that he's not a racist. Rick Foss says she heard Draga called Jacobs a black bitch. Okay? He was like using racial black words, she said. No other witness, including Jacobs, to investigators, they heard racial language. In an interview this week, Gualtieri said Rigfalls had several inconsistencies in her statement. Rigfalls said this week that she was pretty sure Draga called her that. Pretty sure, not absolutely. So you can't say I think, I guess, or maybe, because that doesn't work. That's not going to work in court. Put that saying in front of a judge, you're gonna get an attitude towards that person. That's a fact. 5. Odds and ends. Gunshot wound location, Draga's injuries, origins of gun. Authorities have said Draga shot McLaughlin in the chest, while Jacob said it was on his left side of his abdomen. McLaughlin's autopsy has not yet been released, but the documents include a report from a detective describing the location of the gunshot wound as 2 inches below his nipple. Draeger's interview transcript also has more details about his injuries from the shove. He told detectives the side he fell hurt, and he wasn't sure if he hit his head. Forensic technicians also documented a tear in his shirt. Draeger used a .40 Glock handgun. A Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms report tracing where the gun came from was mostly redacted, aside from this note from the detective. So they probably got it from a store, gun shop store. Based on findings, it's undetermined how Michael Draeger came in possession of the listed firearm. I understand. It's basic. He went to a gun shop. He filled out the form 4473, and he was clear. Okay? End of story. Good grief. It is underdetermined. Good grief. You know, some writers like drama queens, man, you know. It really gets my goat at this, you know. But you know what? This is how it is right now. But at least those are the basic things. Okay? On what happened. We'll just see how much of the case is going to be, because I recommend this, folks. Don't believe the hype. Focus on the case. It is Michael Draeger's on trial, not Florida Stand Your Ground law. Any questions? Go to Florida Statute 776.013, subsection 1. It tells you what stand your ground is. It doesn't matter doesn't matter what you look like, what your ethnicity is, etc. Okay, so get out of the white law, right to kill, because that's all irrelevant, unmeritable, null and void. Okay, that's how I see it. Prove me wrong by sending me your comments. That is it. I thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or be sent something that's interesting, man, want to check out. Whatever you do, please send your correspondence with Decorum. I will list all my social media sites and email contacts on my Spreaker page. Okay? Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading love. And may your guardian spirits be with you.